Catching up with Sarah and Ginny, fueled by laughter and insights aplenty. Curiosity, connection, and learning that sticks. Real talk, real lives with practical tips. Welcome to Catching Up with Sarah and Ginny. Come on in.
Welcome to another episode of Catching Up with Sarah and Ginny. Hello, Sarah.
Hello, Ginny. Lovely to see you.
Well, yeah, and do you know what? Sometimes we now actually see each other in, dare I say it, person. You know,
we do.
I did look into it, and I can't remember how many miles apart we live, but it's a long way.
You looked into that great app that you can have that is halfway between. I think the app's even called Halfway Between. Because I think I was meant to meet somebody, I won't name any names, but they live in Scotland, who was trying to convince me that halfway between might have been somewhere around Leeds. And I think when we looked at it, it wasn't Leeds. But there is an app that if you need to meet someone, you can put in their location, your location, and it'll give you the halfway between, which I really like because I'm very bad at geography.
I love it because I'm not very good at geography, and also it kind of does it for me. So I'm not, is that fair? I'm all into fairness, is it fair? So there's somebody I'm going to meet soon, and our halfway point is Birmingham. I was like, well, that's a train journey for each of us. That's fine. So, but sometimes it can be a little bit random and like not quite a field. You know what I mean? It's like there is nothing.
I mean, yeah, I like to at least have some kind of place that has some kind of drink of any sort, hot or cold, really, is always nice. And somewhere to sit that's warm. Unfortunately for me, I live in Cornwall, as you know, so halfway is always a bit tricky.
There's no unfortunate about living in Cornwall apart from the noise of the seagulls.
Yeah. No, true. No, it's true. It's a bit rainy here today, though, so that's a little bit unfortunate. But no, very good app. No, we like that. So yes, we're going to be meeting up again soon, aren't we? Yeah, got a few meetups coming up, which is great.
Yeah, and I love that because we meet up and then we do interviews together, kind of live, in person. So yeah, lots of exciting things. But isn't it great that the world we live in allows us to be together, Sarah, when we are apart? There you go.
Honestly,
very deep.
It's so good because I think there's a lot of chat that needs to happen, Ginny. There's a lot of discussion and conversation that needs to happen. As I always say in my training, if you ever get a WhatsApp voice message from me, be prepared. It can take a long time. Usually listen to it in a quiet space as well.
Now, we're going off on a tangent, but it's fine. Really interesting about sending WhatsApp voice messages, because I don't think it will come as a surprise to anybody, Sarah, that a lot of our kind of dialogue is WhatsApp messages to one another. And I sometimes send WhatsApp messages to other people. Yeah, it's out there, Sarah. But I send messages to people and voice messages, and people appreciate them, don't they?
Well, Ginny, some people don't like them. I've now discovered some people, they're a bit like Marmite. Yep. Some people don't like them because they want to see straight away. So they want to know straight away what you're saying. And if they can't listen to it, it's a bit frustrating. Yes. Although now there is something that will do a little like AI transcript of it as well. But anyway, we digress. It's all the wonders of all the different ways we like to communicate. And it's also the wonders that we need to find out how people like to communicate.
That moves us beautifully on to my wow moment, my recent wow moment, Sarah. My recent wow moment is I'm doing, I'm training to be a life coach, and one of the modules is all about values and beliefs. And I am finding this module a bit mind-blowing and a bit like, whoa, actually, values and beliefs are so important, and understanding that we don't all have the same values and beliefs, and deciding who we want to be in a room with and who when we have got options, who we choose that we don't want to be in a room with. So I find this really, really fascinating. And the fact that if someone has a different value to me, it's about trying to understand them a little bit, because I think when we have different values to somebody else, there can be a certain grating. So I'm like, okay, let me really think about this. Sometimes we have to be at the same table, and sometimes we can choose not to be or ask not to be.
Yeah. And I think that's years ago, I used to do training around behavior, kind of looking at, and one of the biggest things that we used to start with was about what we feel ourselves, and looking at what behavior or what kind of things challenge us, or do we find really the most difficult to deal with and support. And you can go right from some of the kind of real things like not saying please and thank you. We used to have someone that hated a child that used to, at lunchtime, peel the lid off their yogurt and lick it. Didn't think that was something they should be doing. And right up to some quite, real difficult and challenging behaviors, behaviors that challenge, which actually some people didn't find so difficult to kind of deal with, so that whole thing about the values and beliefs, absolutely. And actually, if you can find that early on, you kind of build a foundation for far better conversations and communication.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've found the whole thing fascinating, and the idea of being a detective, consciously
Yes.
listening
Yeah.
out for values to help understand, and the fact that these come a lot from your childhood, from those
Yeah.
who you've been brought
Yeah.
up with, those who are
Yeah.
around you now. But it is a real wow, because I'm just like literally popcorning about different things I'm hearing from different agencies within work. I mean, I'm literally, when I'm at my local co-op, listening out just to kind of tune myself in. But it is what I find really interesting is when I learn about something,
Yeah.
I understand so much more. I go, "Oh, gosh,
Yeah.
that's why I think
Yeah.
that, or why my view is like that." So yeah, so that's my wow moment.
And I think as well, the one thing about around that with the values and beliefs that kind of fits into a lot of the stuff in terms of that wow stuff as well for me is the default response that we have when we're stressed, when we're anxious, when we're worried, goes back to those values and beliefs. And so we can have all of these things about this is what I should do, or this is how this situation I know will get better if I respond in this way, or if I do this. But sometimes, when you're kind of, when the chips are down, it's very hard to unpick or to move away from that kind of very ingrained kind of those values and beliefs and core kind of behaviors that we have around things. And that kind of brings me on a little bit, just for me currently, and it's along that wow moment, really, what some of the stuff I've learned about myself. And as you were saying, when you're learning something new, I've just started up doing my beach fit again. And I think when we first started out these podcasts, one of the things I was saying is how important it was that I physically do something or get out of my office. We've had loads of chats about that, going to
Yes.
Costa, going somewhere, working anywhere else.
Yes.
But you kind of sit at your desk and go, I've got to get through this. And then you're kind of just carrying on with what you're doing, and you're in that kind of mindset. So just started going back to Beach Fit, who a wonderful, wonderful company that's here in Cornwall. And I'd forgotten that importance of dealing with my own regulation. And actually, so it's like that layering of us, isn't it? So actually, those values and beliefs and all of that stuff that sits at the core of us, our ability to kind of respond and interact with others and have those relationships and do all of the stuff that we need to do kind of go back to the values and beliefs, but they're not also based on stuff we've learnt. But if we're not in a regulated kind of position or way of being, we can't actually manage or go back to those things that we know will help support things.
It is because it depends how we are. That
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
when we are in a situation, are we feeling calm and regulated, or are
And in
we
control.
heightened? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I
And
just think
safe.
all yes, yeah. So
Do we feel
it
okay like if you're in a meeting?
yeah.
Does it feel like it's a meeting that is something you feel okay about in terms of the boundaries of what you're there to talk about and how what the aims are things clear? And it's really important, isn't it? Yeah. So it's just it just made me think as well about that whole learning thing, but also about that whole making sure the adults have got that chance. We can't have enough chances just to give us that opportunity to reflect back and just check in on ourselves or even just move ourselves and regulate ourselves. So
And
there
I
you
think
go.
in the same way, I had a meeting this week, and then afterwards I reflected and went back and said, "Do you know what? I've been thinking about that, and actually, what I initially said, I've been thinking about what you said, and I've changed my stance, and actually, I really do agree with what you said, and I really think we should go with what you said." What now that I've had time to think it over, there was no disagreement in the meet. I mean, there wasn't a huge disagreement, but it was. I said I
Yeah.
thought we should go one way. Someone thought another way, and then I said, "Actually, you're right. You're right. We do need to go that other way. I I agree with you." And just this
Yeah.
whole idea of feeling safe
Yeah.
to say, "Do you know what? I've changed my mind.
Yeah.
I've changed my mind. I now think we should go with what you said." That is all about feeling safe and feeling confident to be
Yeah.
able to change my mind.
And I think some of as I sort of, as you know, coming to this as well from being a parent as well as kind of being a professional, there is that issue in terms of with meetings and with time. So actually, do we get the time to go back and say, "Oh, that's a good point," or "That's a great reflection. I've reflected on this, and maybe this would be a better way for us to deal with this," or is the feeling when you enter into that situation that you're vulnerable, and if you say you've changed a position, actually does that put you in a more vulnerable kind of place? So it's really key, isn't it, just to have that time, things really clear, points really clear at the start of a meeting, then in the meeting, at the end of it, reflecting back on that, and then that chance of, this is what I feel's come out of this. Actually, go away and let's look at this again. There's never that chance.
I think it is really interesting in meetings to have that at the forefront of your mind. And I will say
Yeah,
in meeting, I'm not sure. I need to get back to you about this, or I
yeah,
need to ask
yeah, yeah, yeah,
somebody else's. I need to get somebody else's guidance. And as you say, with time, and time is so
yeah. That's
short in a meeting, and we can all go into a meeting with this is what
yeah,
actually, this is what is on the inverted commas
yeah.
agenda. This needs to be the outcome. And we can
That's it.
inadvertently forget. No one means to, but we've got a
Absolutely.
child at the middle of this.
Yeah,
We have a
yeah,
child at the middle of this. And actually, we need to go sometimes back and go, do you know what? We need to check with the, with
yeah,
this, with the individual who this is all about.
yeah,
Actually, what did they think?
yeah. What does
Because
that feel?
we can make decisions with the best intentions, but then they aren't right for the child, and actually reviewing and all of those things to see what does work and what doesn't work. And also, we've gone off on a tangent, but also what is realistic in the
Yeah,
time frame. We
yeah.
can be in a meeting, we can agree many things, and then we go
Not
out of the meeting, and the person who has to deliver, or the timetable, doesn't allow for that to actually happen.
Happens.
So also going back to actually, what is the one priority that we all agree is
Needs
the
to happen.
main focus?
Yeah, and I think that's that's really, really important. I think, Ginny, one of the really important things around that is coming back to values, coming back to our own regulation, coming back to having a tight agenda around things and I think this is something you always say to me, are the right people around the table? Are the right people in the room? And I think that's a really key aspect for families and for for professionals to just be really clear when we have meetings. This is a really important use of time. And if you haven't necessarily got the right people, or if you haven't got, the right feel from the start in terms of the values of what is it about this meeting that we want to achieve. And I think we can rush things and things can go very bad very quickly. And
Yes.
I really, I really feel that anyone listening to this, it is that kind of chance to say, right, actually, why didn't that work? Because nobody would have gone into that meeting not wanting something to work. It would have been, this is what we want to achieve. We want to achieve something positive.
And I also think there is a place for an in inverted commas mediator, because
Absolutely.
we
Yes.
may be
Yes.
in a position whereby we have um
Yeah.
what could be perceived as
Yeah.
opposing views, and
Yeah.
actually to have someone as a mediator to actually um say what both sides are saying in a calm,
Yeah. Yeah.
professional manner. As my
Yeah.
wonderful
Important.
Yorkshire father would say, it calms the job down, because
Yeah.
we're going back to actually, are we calm? Are we heightened?
Yeah.
Have we been triggered by something that has been said? Then, if we have somebody who is able to, like a seesaw there, that I'm going to say a good word, a fulcrum, get me? But,
Nice. Like that.
yeah, and also time is so precious, and we want meetings to go well, so that we have the right outcomes for the children. And so to have somebody who can act as a
Yeah.
mediator actually is actually really important.
Yeah. And I think just kind of like, rounding that up,
Yeah.
it's about being really clear with your outcomes, being really clear. So when you go in, when you go out, and having that mediator person help shape those. I think actually a mediator, I'm already reflecting on a couple of things for myself and like, oh my goodness, that's exactly what we need to be looking at. Because if time is precious, then meeting time is precious. So, let's make the most of those aspects, really. No, love all of that, Ginny.
Fab, fab, fab. So let's move on, Sarah.
Yes.
Tell me,
Nice.
if send were a song, what would it be and why?
Oh, I'll tell you, I found a CD in my car, which I don't really have. I don't often have CDs. I think they jumped a lot. I mean, I've got loads of CDs, but I don't have them in the car very much. And it's a Madonna one, and it was the only song which wouldn't jump actually. So I started playing it, and then I was like listening to the words, and it's Borderline. And it's just a really uplifting song that if you live in Cornwall, and particularly if you live anywhere near me or on my way to Beachfit, I sing very loudly. And it's that kind of thing about, sometimes we exist in this borderline and we're kind of pushed over the limit of things. And actually, how do we get back to this? And what are the ways that we can all kind of work together to be aware of where that kind of borderline is? And often we're living there. So it doesn't take much to trigger, doesn't take much to make things heightened. And so to be aware of, we are at the borderline. And I think probably with everything that's going on with Sen currently, we are at that point where it can tip. And it is in so many classrooms and in so many situations, tipping very quickly
Yes.
into very difficult situations. And we've got to look at, okay, that line is there. Maybe it's been created in that space, and we can maybe look at how we can change that borderline back down a little bit, but also being aware that we are at that point. So let's just kind of like come back a little bit. But no, I love it. I love any of the Madonna songs, but Borderline.
Gosh, I'm gonna go and revisit Madonna today. I'm gonna have,
Oh, and Holiday.
yeah, all of them. I
Yeah,
mean, we could do a podcast about
yeah,
Madonna. So
yeah.
my song today is "Hold On" by Wilson Phillips.
Oh, love it.
Um, it just it just the lyrics are. It's just fascinating. It makes me all emotional, but the lyrics are, "No one can change your life except for you."
Yeah. Oh
But
gosh.
then don't don't ever let anyone step all over you.
Yeah,
Wow, we're going back to
yeah,
actually, how do we get our voice heard
yeah,
so's that, in inverted commas, people don't step on us? What systems can we put in place? And it just, I don't know, I was just thinking, what song at the moment? And what I find fascinating, Sarah, is when we choose our songs, it does
yeah,
very, very much depend
yeah.
on
Of course.
how we are feeling on a day-to-day basis. But "Hold On" by Wilson Phillips,
I love
just
that.
yeah, just absolutely love it.
I'm gonna have
Absolutely.
to revisit that one now. I'm gonna have to have a look and see, and just have a kind of look to see what is kind of there's that whole emotion as well.
I know,
Bless you.
I know, I
You
know.
know,
And
and the emotion in the song.
yeah, and they'll go on the Spotify playlist, and
Yes,
actually, I'm loving the Spotify playlist. I just love
yeah,
the breadth of
yeah,
songs that we have, and the breadth of emotions, and we go back to that seesaw of how
yeah.
people are feeling, and the emotions these songs bring out. Absolutely brilliant. So have you got a book for us today then, Sarah?
I have. I've been revisiting some of my books as well. I was tidying up my bookshelf, and we both do lots of work with independent thinking. And one of the kind of books that I love and I revisited was The Curriculum of Hope. A Curriculum of Hope. Deborah Kidd, who's amazing anyway, absolutely incredible. Follow lots of the things that she talks about on social media. But I love it. The first quote in the book is basically saying, schooling is living, it's not a preparation for living. And living is a constant messing with problems that seem to resist solution. And I just love that idea of, because I often hear people say, preparation for work or preparation for adulthood or preparation for life. And it's like, this is life. This is, and them going to school, being in school, going to school, all of the skills that they're learning. It's about, we're not preparing you necessarily for something else. This is kind of where we're giving you life, and we're giving you that opportunity. I think I've got that, there's like a little thing in my kitchen that says, enjoy this moment because this moment is your life. It's a little thing I've got next to my toaster. And it's like, again, we've got to stop looking at what the next thing is and let's make this the absolute best that we can make it, this current situation, current time.
Love that. I love that. And what I find really interesting is how our lives, we can have kind of parallel lives. Like with my son at the moment, he's gone to college and he's just done an assignment, and he had to wait for the grade to come back, and all was good. And with my coaching, I am going through the same with my assessments at my age, and I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa,
Yeah.
I understand what he's feeling because I'm feeling it as well. And
Yeah.
and and that is life.
Yeah.
And in life, we have to do assessments, we have to do exams, but actually it's very good that I am doing something and feeling the same as my son is,
At the
because
same
you
time.
put in an assessment
Yeah.
and you have to wait
Yeah.
to be told what mark you've received. And it's it's a feeling I haven't had for quite a long time. So it's good, Sarah. It's very grounding, isn't it? Very grounding.
And it's very grounding. And I mean, the book allows you to kind of dip in and just remember, some of the wonderful bits about education and about,
Yeah.
and, it has the story at the start about kind of like the importance of like dandelions and actually looking out for the beauty in the world and looking out for the resilience around us and just being, having that hope of things and I think in the current climate, there's a lot of loss of hope. There's a lot of feeling that things are really difficult. And often what happens, unfortunately, is because we're in that situation, we're kind of almost creating that energy as well. We've got to think about, okay, what can we do to just kind of create that positive energy and that kind of aura of hope around us, really? Because if we don't do that, then what's the next step? So I know I really that's a lovely book.
So mine is very different to yours, Sarah.
Sometimes it's similar, sometimes it's different.
Sometimes it's similar. It's very different. And I'm going back to the values and beliefs and the working alongside others. And so the book I'm recommended is called Surrounded by Idiots by Thomas Erickson. A very unfortunate title, but very, very interesting about understanding people that we work with, people that we interact with, about how we work in different ways, and about understanding that because somebody works in that way, that doesn't make them, in inverted commas, a bad person. They're working in a different way. So actually, what is a potential way to find that mediation, that middle ground? So that's all linked to the DISC way of modeling of looking at how people work together. But as you can tell, I'm very immersed in that at the moment, and really, really kind of finding energy from that as well, because I'm playing detective with people, and earlier in my career I found that very challenging when I was working with people who weren't the same. It's all about colors. Who weren't the same color as me in the form of red and green and blue and yellow and how we all work. But I've calmed down quite a lot about that, and I think when we understand the background or the way somebody works, we go, oh, okay. And then if we have to be, as we say, round a table with that person, then we can find strategies. And also, if we don't need to work closely with that person, we can find a way that we can make it so that we have systems in place whereby we can remain calm.
Yeah, and we can manage. We can manage the situation.
So
because you're not going to like everyone, or you're not going to, or also sometimes it's not even but you haven't always got the time to maybe really unpick that relationship and that kind of everything in that working context. We can't do that with everyone. So we do need to get manageable kind of strategies in place for those certain situations. And that's not a bad thing.
No, it's about is it an affinity towards, and it kind of, it's like we will be kind of attracted to certain people, and there can be a rub, can't there? But just absolutely fascinating. And I think I just love this idea of learning, Sarah, continually learning.
I love it. Constantly learning. Yeah, constantly learning. And then you understand how others learn. You understand the difficulties. You understand the feelings.
Yes.
You understand that feeling of, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm going to shut down. I'm going to stop it because it's too hard.
Yeah. Oh, well, Sarah, I'm exhausted in a good way.
Always.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Always a pleasure.
Never a chore. Thanks for joining us this time on Catching Up with Sarah and Ginny.
Always a pleasure and never a chore.